Making headlines this hour, President Dr. Mohamed Muiz congratulates Joachim Friedrich Martin Joseph Merz on his election as Chancellor of Germany. The government submits a bill to the parliament to repeal the existing 27-year-old Maldives Civil Aviation Act and reintroduce the law. And Ooredoo Maldives
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abdul Sattar. Now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz and the Secretary General of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation (OIC), Hassan Brahim Taha, have reaffirmed their shared commitment to close collaboration. OIC Secretary General paid a courtesy call on the President at the President's office, during which the President expressed appreciation for the continued support of the OIC towards the Maldives and commended the organization's strong leadership. He reaffirmed the government's full commitment to working closely with the OIC. Secretary General Hassan Brahim Taha in turn described the Maldives as one of the most prominent member states of the OIC and expressed pride in the institutions the country has established. Concluding the meeting, both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to continued collaboration for the benefit of the Islamic community. Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Abdullah Halil and the Secretary General of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation (OIC), Hassan Brahim Taha, have discussed cooperation and support for Palestine in meeting. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the two leaders discussed areas of mutual cooperation and emphasized the importance of strong and unified support for the people of Palestine during the meeting. The meeting reaffirmed the Maldives' commitment to working closely with the OIC. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz has announced a national vision to position the Maldives as a leading financial center for Islamic finance, underpinned by digital economic transformation. The initiative was introduced during the launch of the Maldives Islamic Social Finance Initiative, a strategic effort aimed at advancing the nation's development agenda.
Inspired by the forthcoming National Financial Inclusion Strategy, the initiative seeks to foster collaboration between the financial sector and civil society organizations to address the diverse needs of Maldivian society. Underscoring the importance of collective action, the President stated that he remained hopeful that the benevolent initiative would foster critical partnerships between the financial sector and civil society organizations in addressing the diverse needs of our society. At the core of the initiative is a commitment to the Maldives' unified identity shaped by enduring values of compassion, justice, and social equity. Strengthening ties between financial institutions and civil society is a central objective, with the initiative designed to create a robust system to support those in need. The effort, the President noted, aligns with principles long upheld by Maldivians, including social justice and equality. The initiative also reflects a broader philosophy on national development. President Muiz stressed that progress cannot be measured solely by economic prosperity. Ensuring every individual is afforded a dignified life remains a priority. Within the framework of Islamic banking, tools such as sadaqah, waqf, and Islamic crowdfunding are envisioned to financially empower vulnerable groups and establish social justice. To support this vision, the government is developing the National Master Plan and Roadmap for Islamic Economics and Finance with assistance from the Islamic Development Bank. The launch event also marked the inauguration of the Maldives Monetary Authority or MMA's Islamic Social Finance Research Report. Commitment letters from the Bank of Maldives or BML and Maldives Islamic Bank or MIB signaled institutional support for the initiative.
Maldives Central Bank, Maldives Monetary Authority MMA Governor Ahmad Munawar has described the Maldives Islamic Social Finance Initiative MISFI is an important project in the country's efforts to position the island nation as a hub of Islamic finance.
Speaking during the launching ceremony of the MIFSI on Wednesday morning, the governor hailed the project as an important objective of MMA's 2025 to 2027 strategic plan, adding that the project will elevate the country's financial system to new heights. Munawwar described the initiative as an important step to position the Maldives as an Islamic finance hub at regional level. He said that the project will increase social equality and economic participation across the population. Munawwar said this is a remarkable example of policies being formulated on research. University Islam Selangor Vice-Chancellor Muhammad Farid Ravi bin Abdullah, speaking during the ceremony, said the success of Islamic finance will provide assistance to vulnerable people in society. He said the system, which is already being implemented in Malaysia, is an important initiative to address problems in society. The MISFI is a special fund established by the MMA in collaboration with the Bank of Maldives (BML) and the Maldives Islamic Bank (MIB). The MMA has allocated $1.3 million, MIB pledging $1.9 million, and BML pledging $13 million for the next 3 years, with the Ministry of Social and Family Development to identify social areas in need of investment.
Maldives and Japan have signed an exchange of notes for the provision of 2 harbour crafts to the Maldives National Defence Force MNDF's Coast Guard. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdullah Halil, and the Ambassador of Japan to the Maldives, Ishigami Rumiko, signed the exchange of notes at the ceremony. This exchange of notes under Japan's Economic and Social Development Program provides assistance amounting to 400 million Japanese yen, approximately $2.8 million to strengthen the operational capacity of the MNDF Coast Guard. During the ceremony, the minister emphasized appreciation for Japan's continuous support to the Maldives. The minister noted that these assets would strengthen the Coast Guard's ability to conduct search and rescue operations, enforce maritime law, and protect coastal communities. The minister also underscored that this cooperation reflects the mutual commitment of the Maldives and Japan to a free and open Indo-Pacific and acknowledged Japan's long-standing contributions to the Maldives' development and maritime security. He welcomed Japan's addition to appoint a defense attaché to the Maldives and expressed hope for continued collaboration in defense and security initiatives. The Parliamentary Finance Committee on Wednesday recommended the approval of Aishat Asna Hamdi as the new Deputy Governor of the Central Bank Maldives Monetary Authority (MMA). President Dr. Mohamed Moise had nominated Asna and forwarded her nomination for Parliament approval following the resignation of her predecessor Ahmad Imad in March. His resignation came just before a motion to recommend his dismissal was tabled to be heard in Parliament. Imad had been accused of being at fault for not reporting former Governor Ali Hashim when he had failed to execute his legally mandated responsibilities. The Parliamentary Finance Committee had interviewed Asna before moving to recommend her approval for the post on Wednesday. Asna has had a distinguished career with the MMA since joining in 2008. She holds a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of East London in Malaysia, along with a master's degree in Business Finance from the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. A bill has been submitted to the Parliament seeking to repeal the existing 27-year-old Maldives Civil Aviation Act and reintroduce the law with several amendments to modernize the sector. The bill was proposed by the government and introduced by Member of Parliament Abdullah Shazim. The first reading of the bill has been completed and the debate process is now underway. The objective of the proposed Civil Aviation Bill seeks to replace the current Civil Aviation Act of 2001 by introducing a legal framework for the implementation of all aspects of civil aviation through a modern enforcement system.
The objective of the proposed Civil Aviation Bill seeks to replace the current Civil Aviation Act of 2001 by introducing a legal framework for the implementation of all aspects of civil aviation through a modern enforcement system. The bill also aims to ensure that the rules and standards relating to the safety and security of civil aviation in the Maldives are in line with the standards established in the International Convention on Civil Aviation, to which the Maldives is party. One of the most significant changes proposed to the Act is the mandatory formulation of a master plan for the development of airports. The bill states that every airport should have a specific master plan, and the construction and development of the airport, as well as its operations and activities, must be carried out in accordance with the master plan. The bill states that the master plan must be formulated in accordance with the Convention on International Civil Aviation and other relevant international treaties, and in accordance with the domestic rules, regulations, and standards set out under the Act. The bill also mandates that each master plan must be reviewed every 5 years, and necessary amendments should be made accordingly. The bill also states that a 5-member council called the Airport Development Oversight Council must be formed within 60 days of the bill's passage and ratification. The council will be formed by the Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation, and the master plan of the airports will be developed by this council. Once the law comes into force, the bill proposes the creation of a body called Maldives Air Accidents Investigation Agency, which will investigate civil aviation accidents and serious incidents. This agency will be established as an independent agency operated under the Ministry of Transport and Civil Aviation. The purpose of this agency will be to receive, investigate, and publicize information on air traffic accidents and serious incidents. The agency will also be tasked with identifying factors that affect and potentially affect air safety and provide safety recommendations to air transport service providers and the public. The objectives also include conducting programs on safe air travel and raising public awareness.
The majority of applications are received for the Gedurweria Nafa loan program have been for modern farming ventures, the SME Finance Development Corporation SDFC has revealed. SDFC PPR Unit Deputy Manager Amnat Muha said a total of 18 farmers have taken loans up to $6,485, out of which $90,791 has been disbursed. She said 23 local farmers had applied for the $129,701 loan, with $940,337 already disbursed. The Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Welfare said most applications have been for modern farming ventures, including vertical and greenhouse farming. The Dandweria Nafa loan program is divided into 2 categories of agricultural loans, which include loans up to $6,485 and the other between $6,485 and $129,701. Each of these loans will carry interest at 6% annum. However, the maximum repayment period for loans up to $6,485 is 3 years. Loans up to $129,701 are repaid over a maximum of 7 years. U.S. stocks were lowered for a second straight session on Tuesday as comments from U.S. President Donald Trump and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent provided little clarity to the timeline for any trade deals.
Trump said he and top administration officials will review potential trade deals over the next 2 weeks to decide which ones to accept. In addition, Trump met with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney for the first time, which yielded no immediate results. Trump's comments ran somewhat counter to earlier statements from Bessent, who said the administration could announce some trade agreements as early as this week. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 lost 44.86 points or 0.78% to end at 5,605.52 points, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 158.42 points or 0.89% to 17,685.82. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 397.69 points or 0.96% to 40,821.14. Commerce Department data showed businesses boosted imports of goods in March ahead of the tariff announcements, pushing the country's trade deficit to a record high of $140.5 billion. On May 5th, Trump said he would announce pharmaceutical tariffs over the next 2 weeks, his latest announcement regarding levies that have whipsawed global financial markets over the past few months.
Residents of St. Joseph's recently erected wire fence around the West Bank town felt like a big prison that separated them from the main road connecting Sinjar to the cities of Nablus and Ramallah.
Deputy Chair of Sinjar Local Council, Baha Faqaha, said the fence, which was erected by the occupation Israel, turns the town into a prison and it surrounds and closes all the entrances to the town. According to Faqaha and local residents of the town, Israeli bulldozers and heavy machinery razed lands owned by Palestinians before putting 4-meter-high iron poles around the town and building a wire fence extending more than 1 kilometer along the main road, referred to as Highway 60. The Israeli military did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the fence. The Israeli army had issued a military order in August last year to seize the lands that are now used to erect the fence around Sinjar. Faqaha said the fence will prevent citizens from accessing the main road and deprive them of access to their lands, which are located behind the fence. In July 2004, the International Court of Justice, or ICJ, found that Israel's separation wall in the West Bank violated international law and should be dismantled, though it still stands to this day. Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, areas of historic Palestine which the Palestinians want for a state, in a 1967 war, and has since built settlements in the West Bank and steadily expanded them.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino vowed to host a safe 2025 FIFA Club World Cup and 2026 FIFA World Cup with the support of the U.S. government, led by President Donald Trump and his team, following a task force meeting on Tuesday.
The U.S. will host the FIFA Club World Cup from June 14th to July 13th this year, and it will take place across 11 cities. In 2026, the U.S. will host the FIFA World Cup along with co-hosts Canada and Mexico. Infantino said the two events would bring almost $50 billion in economic output to the U.S. and create almost 300,000 jobs. Trump had earlier said he wanted people traveling to the U.S. to watch the competition to have a smooth experience without any hitches.
Skype rang for the last time as owner Microsoft retires the 2-decade-old internet calling service that redefined how people connect across borders. Shutting down Skype will help Microsoft focus on its homegrown Teams service by simplifying its communication offerings, the software giant said on May 2nd.
Founded in 2003, Skype's audio and video calls quickly disrupted the landline industry in the early 2000s and made the company a household name, boasting hundreds of millions of users at its peak. But the platform has struggled to keep up with easier-to-use and more reliable rivals such as Zoom and Salesforce's Slack in recent years. The decline was partly because Skype's underperformance fueled the need for online business calls, once a major base for Skype. To ease the transition from the platform, its users will be able to log into Teams for free on any supported device using their existing credentials, with chats and contacts migrating automatically. With that, Skype will become the latest in a series of high-flying bets that Microsoft has mishandled, such as the Internet Explorer web browser and its Windows Phone. Other big tech firms have also struggled with online communication tools, with Google making several attempts through apps including Hangouts and Duo. Microsoft declined to share the latest user figures for Skype and said there would be no job cuts due to the move. It added that Teams has about 320 million monthly active users. When Microsoft bought Skype in 2011 for $8.5 billion after outbidding Google and Facebook, its largest deal at the time, the service had around 150 million monthly users. By 2020, that number has fallen to roughly 23 million users, despite a brief resurgence during the pandemic.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant time ahead.